Hey guys,
This is Ruby,
and Nicole.
and you're listening to She's All That. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the pod. We are so excited that you're here.
We today wanted to have a really awesome guest. And so one of my dearest friends, her name is Allie. We met when we were studying abroad in Spain together. She and I talk all the time on the phone, and she recently was telling me about a terrible first date that she went on. And I'm not going to lie, you guys, right after this story, I was like, she has to come on the podcast because Ruby and I shared our worst first date stories on the red flags episode. And this story, man, Allie's story just blew ours out of the water. Like it's not even on a level playing field. There's no comparison. And I thought, you know what? This girl has got to come on here and share this. So Allie, take it away. And I'm sorry, we'll try not to interrupt, but it's another level.
Please tell us about this boy because I have been waiting a few days.
Guys, let me tell you, I don't know if it's ever an experience I want to relive ever. So recently, just with okay, I need to start putting myself out there. How do you meet people? I had done dating apps a little bit in the past, and I was just like, ew, I hate how it makes me feel. I hate it so much. I'm never going to do it. And then was out to drinks with one of my cousins, and she was like, you're downloading it, we're swiping. And I was like, all right, cool. So,
Yes.
you need liquid courage to re-download
Yes,
those
you
apps,
do.
man.
COVID? Honestly, COVID or liquid courage?
Honestly, every time I start drinking a glass of wine, I'm like, Hinge seems like it could be promising tonight.
No, exactly. I'm like, I haven't gotten so far down it yet where I'm like, let's download Tinder. But, I'm like, steady Hinge. So download it, started swiping, matched with this guy. Didn't think he looked familiar at all because his pictures that he posted looked so different. And so we matched, and he messaged me and was like, the awkward moment when I already have your number. And I was like, ew. I was like, this is a really bad pickup line. And I was like, I don't no, okay. I typically don't respond back to messages on dating apps, so sorry guys, but one of those things where it's like, message me if you want. I don't really care. See if you get a response. So I didn't respond. And then the next day I was getting ready to go into an appointment, and I got a text message from a random number. And I didn't think anything of it because I contact my clients all the time on my phone, and I'm always like, keep my cell phone number, contact me if you need me. So a lot of random people probably have my cell number. So I was like, oh, okay, it's probably a client. And I open the text message, and it pulls up, how iPhones, it pulls up old history conversations.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it pulled that up, and I was like, what the heck? I've talked to this person before.
This is definitely not a client.
No, I'm like, So then I started rereading the messages, and it was like, so I texted him back, and I was like, haha, honestly didn't put two and two together. I was like, thought you were just some creepy dude with a lame pickup line. And so we're just talking, and then he finally asked me out if I'd want to go out on a date. He sent me his address and everything, and I'm like, okay, I got this. Obviously, calling my parents, telling them where I'm at and everything, so if anything happens, they know where I am.
Great idea.
Allie, I need to start doing that, literally.
Actually,
I do not.
Ruby, with the amount of dates you go on, can you please start sharing your location? Because this is actually that's quite terrifying. Anyways, okay.
My mom watches way too many crime shows where she's instantly I need to know where you're at. That way, if anything happens, I at least know where to start looking. Which so texted him that I was there. And he was like, okay, cool. So I'm like, okay, you're obviously not going to meet me. I'll just walk up to the house. So I walk up, and instantly I was like, this isn't a good sign. There was old furniture on the porch, kind of looked like a frat house. And I was like, ooh. So ring the doorbell. He answers, and he is less than impressive. Just not dressed to impress. He has on a polo that just looks like it's been worn way too many times. And I don't know if they were just loose shorts or gym short kind of a thing or what was going on, but it was just
gym shorts with a polo.
Oh my goodness.
So I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. So he like gives me a hug. I'm like, hey, and like walk into the house, and it's a disaster. Like it just looks awful. It's like, so do you want to go out back and like have like a bonfire? And I was like, sure, why not? Like I don't know what to say. So we go out back. It's like already like 80, high 80s, almost 90-degree weather, and like I'm gonna go sit next to a fire.
You're doing a bonfire.
This is great. And then he asked me if I would like something to drink. So I was like, yeah, totally. And he's like, okay, well, like I don't drink. And I was like, okay, like that's fine. Like, do you have water, pop, whatever? And he's like, well, I have Trulies. And I was like, okay, like I can have a Truly, but I like don't want to be like drinking in front of you if you don't drink. Like that's weird to me a little bit. And he's like, no, go ahead. I'll go grab you one, and I'll grab me a seltzer. And I was like, okay. He brings me out the biggest Truly in the world. Like I have.
Oh my gosh. Wait,
like
Nicole, is it kind of like the size of like a Mike's Harder? Do you remember those drinks that I used to?
Yeah, it's probably like that.
It was huge. So he's drinking his seltzer water. I'm over here trying to hold a can that's like bigger than my hands. And I'm like, okay, what can we talk about next? So clearly he's like, I don't drink. So I was like, okay, like if you don't mind me asking, like, why don't you drink? Like, is it something that you decided to give up?
Allie, I would have done the same. I'm like so nosy. I'm like, so why? Why don't you drink?
What's the sitch?
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to know, like, what is like. And so I asked him, and he's like, oh, dude, I'm like a hardcore alcoholic. And I was like, wait, what? And he was like, yeah, like I have gotten arrested multiple times. I broke into this lady's house drunk, like was found on the side of the street, and like all this stuff.
What?
Like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I'm just like trying to figure out how to even react to it. And he's like telling me all of these stories from college of like how him and his friends would do like 8 shots before going out, and like how he like would be randomly laying on some person's lawn and like would get caught by the cops and like all this stuff. And I was just like, I don't know what to do. And he was just kind of like laughing about it and making light of it.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, really quick. Is he part of like AA or like what's the situation? Do you know?
No.
Oh, so he's not even like being resourceful.
No, he said that he had to do AA like a year or 2 ago because of like his probation or something, but he's like not actively a part of it. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So,
I don't think AA works like that. I don't think you're like, oh, I'm just going to go for 2 weeks and then it's fixed. It's like a lifelong situation.
No. So we go into the kitchen. We're like, start making, he wants to make banh mi's, which is like an Asian sandwich kind of a thing. And so we start making it and like helping him like assemble it all together. He made steak. And so he's like cutting the steak and he's like, oh, this looks so good. Like try a piece. And like, he kept trying to feed me. And I'm like, not one of those girls. I'm like, nope, like, please do not feed me. Like, no. So he kept like doing it. And I would just like grab it with my finger and be like, oh yeah, I'm so good. And then finally he was like, we're like on an island. So he's on one side, I'm on the other. And he's like, no, you really need to. I'm like, dude, I've had like 4 pieces of steak. Like it tastes the same every single time. He's like, no, just like open up your mouth. So again, he's leaning over this island, not high enough really to like place it perfectly into my mouth. And I'm like, this is awkward. So he ends up kind of like hitting my face with this piece of steak and like it's still trying to get it in my mouth. I'm like, this is just going really bad. Finally, he like gets it in and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awful. I like have steak juice like on my nose, on my cheek. I'm like, this is just like bad.
This is not romantic at all.
It's so cringy.
Cringy. So the kid is literally like, oh, let me take you on a tour of the house before we watch it. So I was like, okay, like I don't really want to see the house, but sure. So he takes me on a tour, takes me down to the basement. He's like, this is where I record my music. And I was like, not impressed. And then he shows me this like wine cellar. And I was like, cool. Again, like you don't drink. So I'm just a little bit confused. Like you're showing me a lot of like alcoholic stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, in the wine cellar, they had like this like trap door kind of a thing off to the side.
Oh
so
my.
He, like opens it and he's like, haha, such a funny story. I hotboxed in here. And I was like,
You're like, that's hilarious.
like, okay. And I was like, I don't smoke. so, and he was like, oh yeah, man, it was such a good time. And I was like, cool. Like, is this how you think you're going to impress me? I don't know.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm just imagining myself. Ruby, could you imagine going on a date and a guy is giving you a house tour and he has this tiny little trap door and it's like, oh, I hotboxed in there. I'm sorry, but I think I would be like, okay, like
Yeah,
I'm
I
going.
would be like, sounds good. Let's go watch the movie. Like, I don't know what's the.
Ruby, you're so much nicer than me. I would say sounds good. Where's the door? Like to leave. Like what the heck? What a weirdo. I'm sorry, I'm not into it. Like
no.
okay.
Oh, and so we go up into the main floor, go up into like the upstairs, and he's like showing me his like room. So he has two to three other roommates, which I forgot to tell you, Nicole. So he's like showing me their rooms. And I'm like, I don't want to see other guys' rooms. Like, I don't really even want to see your room. Like, this is a first date. Like, sorry. And he's like knocking on one of his roommates' doors. And I was like, oh, like, we don't have to bother him. Like, it's totally fine. And he was like, oh, no, I just need to tell him something real quick. It's like, okay. So I'm just like awkwardly standing there. He like knocks on the door, sticks his head in. They have like a short conversation. And then he closes it. And I was like, oh, like, is he like sick or like he can come out if like he doesn't have to stay in his room? And he's like, oh, no, he's getting tested for COVID. And I was like, what?
I knew that was coming.
What? Oh my gosh.
And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah. He was like, I don't think he has it though, but like, yeah, he got tested, so like he's been quarantining. And I'm like, okay.
So he's been stuck in his room for like 2 weeks, or
He was in there for like 4 days.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, great. So then he shows me his room, and it's a mess. Which, like, guys, if you're listening, if you ever take a girl to your room, whether it's the first date, the 5th date, the 100th date, I don't really care. Have a clean room. Like,
Yeah.
the most disgusting thing to walk into a guy's room and see like old Starbucks cups that are filled with God knows who, like what's in there, and like trash scattered and like clothes on the floor, and like also make your bed. Like freaking make your bed. Oh, like
I could not agree more. Honestly,
yes.
It needs to be, even if you're a messy person, like show some respect at least.
Yeah, like shove it into a closet. I don't really care. Just make it look like you're not messy.
Presentable.
And like I look at his bed, there's like no sheets. There's like a comforter that's kind of like crumpled up on his bed. And I'm like, ugh. His pillows have like 0 pillow covers on it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is awful. So I like sit there, and he like comes back in. He's like, oh, do you want like water or anything? And I was like, yeah, water would be great. Thinking he's gonna go downstairs, get me a fresh cup of water. No, he pulls this cup from like the side of his bed, takes it out of the room, goes to the bathroom, dumps the water, refills the like water.
What? You're joking, Allie.
Oh my God. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
With the exact same cup. And I'm like, okay. Hand it to me. And I'm like, oh crap.
Please tell me you did not drink out of that cup, Allie. You should have said no. I know you said you're trying to work on that, but you should have said no.
It was so bad. I'm like, take like a little sip, and I'm like, oh my God.
You're like, I'm drinking sink water from the sink with a used cup.
Oh my God.
Ay. Okay.
Yeah. So he's like, okay, like we can start watching the show. And the comedian like makes this like, I don't even know what it was about. He makes this like poop joke, or like talks about poop briefly. And I'm just like watching it. I'm like, I like hate when people talk about that kind of stuff. So I'm just like awkwardly like, and he pauses it, and he like dead straight turns and looked at me. And he was like, did you have any poop stories? And I was like,
What?
On a first date, do you have any poop stories?
Yeah. Like, has anything crazy ever happened? And I was like, no. I was like, what about you? I don't know. I want to know anything. I don't know what to say. Like, let's be real. This guy's going to tell me whether or not I ask.
Yeah, he obviously asked because he's got a story and he's going to share it.
So he tells me about one of his friends who is a girl who went on a date, a first date, which I'm like, dang, me and this girl need to swap stories. But her and this guy had like gone out drinking, and like they were like kind of drunk, tipsy, whatever, and went back. And he like dropped her off at her place, and he was like, "Oh, can I come in? I have to go to the bathroom." And she was like, "Yeah, sure." So he came in and went to the bathroom, ended up getting sick in her bathroom. Let's just say like it was a mess from like both ends that she had to deal with.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
He's, like,
And not
telling
all of it was in the
story.
toilet, correct?
Yeah. And so
Oh
I'm
my
just, like,
gosh.
sitting there, and I'm like, please tell me she didn't go on a second date. And he's like, well, I think he called her like a couple days later and like asked if she wanted to go out again. I was like, I hope she said no. And then he like turns the show back on, and I'm like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. And so I'm just like sitting there, and I'm like, oh my god. But finally it ends, and he's like, so like, what do you want to do now? And I'm like, oh, I got work in the morning, sorry, like I really gotta go. So he's like trying to talk to me. I'm like putting on my shoes as fast as I can.
You got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta go. Like I finally have an out. I'm like, I'm leaving. So he like walks me down. We're at the door, and like if I like someone, I will always go in for like the full hug. If I don't, I'm like, haha, bye, and like just do
Side hug.
a little side hug. So I go in for the side hug. He goes in for the full hug. Also tries to like kiss me in the midst of it. So his like he ends up like kissing like part of my cheek, part of my ear, and I'm like, oh my god.
Oh my gosh, Allie, that has happened to me. One time in high school, a guy took me out to the movies and he like went all in, and I like moved my head. Like my mom, like I think even saw it through the mirror. Through the window, but literally kissed my ear. It's so awkward.
It was so awkward. And so like I don't even think I made eye contact with the dude as I was leaving. I was like, okay, bye, and just like walked out. So then he texts me later in the night and is like, hey, hope you made it home safe. And I was like, haha, yeah, I did, thanks. And he was like, oh, I'm so jealous you get to like curl up next to your like cute puppy, because I had showed him a picture of my dog. And I was like, haha, yep, she's super cute. He was like, you know, if she ever goes missing, like I have her. And I'm like,
Oh my
like,
goodness.
and I just never responded.
I honestly think that's a very appropriate time to ghost someone. I don't really believe in ghosting, but after that date, I'm like, this guy obviously does not have much dating experience, and he does not know how to date and doesn't know how to treat a girl. So
Yeah, it was bad, guys.
Oh, Allie, you poor girl. But you know what? You're weeding out the bad ones and making room for the good ones. So you just gotta, I feel like you gotta just go on the bad ones. And this is gonna be a great story. Like the bonfire, the hot boxing, the poop, like it's all there. You know, it's a pretty
alcoholism, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it's going to be a story to share at a party, you know, like you're going to be, it's going to be good.
Forgot to tell you. So we're talking about jobs. He's currently in the process of like getting hired for this new job. Again, doing like development sales with the same title as me. He tells me how much he's going to be making, and it's like $10,000 more than me. And I was like, I mean, like, good for you, but like, that's really crazy that they like are doing that. And he's like, yeah, well, you know, like, I'm just a dude. And I'm like, what?
Oh, hell no.
He was like, yeah, like, you're getting paid good for like, you know, like where you're at. And I was like,
I'm sorry. Back
no.
up, boy. Are you kidding me?
Who are you? Mm-mm.
Okay, I would have taken his friggin' Truly and put it in his face.
Like there should have been multiple times where I should have just like completely up and left. And I now know that. So.
Oh my gosh, Allie. Well, you're all that, and I'm sorry that you had such a terrible date experience, but it made a great story. So.
It did.
And you're way better off than that guy anyway. So who's really winning?
Right. Exactly. Well,
oh my goodness.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course. Thanks so much.
We can make light of the situation.
I agree. Allie, I love you so much, and thank you for coming on.
Yes.
Love you too, guys. It was good to meet you, Ruby.
It was nice meeting you. See you later.
See ya.
Bye. Oh my gosh.
My goodness.
Could you imagine? Like literally, I'm telling you, I was just like, it was just one thing after the other. I couldn't even handle.
I know. It's just like, it just got worse.
It kept progressively getting worse.
Oh. No, definitely.
It's terrible. So I did want to talk to you a little bit about like since we're on the topic a little bit about breakups and just like that whole situation, because I want to say it was you, Ruby, that we were talking about breakup etiquette. And you had said that when you go through a breakup, you give everything back to the person. Like all the gifts they ever gave you, you give it back. Right?
Okay. So I've only experienced one breakup. You know, I've been single for 4 years, and that was in the relationship was high school, and it was, I don't want to compare my story to other people, but I mean, it was abuse, you know, like it was a horrible breakup. And so for me during that time, I was not comfortable. I struggled a lot, you know, and I was not comfortable keeping all the jewelry and all the sweaters because he was my ex-abuser, you know, like it was a big deal. So I did give everything back, but when I think back, I do regret giving everything back, like all the things he got me, because he never returned anything that he gave me, you know, like I gave him cologne, like all these like nice, like sweaters and clothes and stuff like that. And I got none of that back, which is fine. I didn't want it back, but I'm kind of like, what the heck? You know, like that's my jewelry, my perfume. Like I should have kept it and just rocked the jewelry, rocked the sweaters, but I did keep my Michael Kors, my Michael Kors bag. So
True.
Yeah, I'm happy that I kept that at least. But yeah, I think it just depends. I don't really. Yeah, it just depends on the story. Everyone's so different.
Yes. Well, that makes sense to me. When you said that to me, I was like, oh my gosh, am I the only girl that doesn't give anything back? I've never even thought to give things back. Like if you gave it to me, I'm not giving it back to you. Like
it's mine.
What are you going to do? Wear this shirt? Like it's a girl's shirt. You know what I mean? Like why would I give you back the gifts that you've given me just because we've broken up? But also no one I've ever dated has given anything back to me either. Like I've given people gifts, obviously, on birthdays and stuff, and they never returned anything. But like, I don't want a men's size extra large sweatshirt, you know, like what am I going to do with this? But I will say, something that I do, like when I do go through a breakup, which this might sound like borderline a little bit like psycho, but I will like take, actually this definitely sounds psycho. I take their stuff that, like if I had his shirt or like his things, I remember like I'll burn it. Like, I'll literally like make a fire and I just throw all this stuff in there and I burn it and I just like watch it burn. Like
I just watch it burn.
I just watch it burn, like the relationship just die before me. And
oh my goodness, Nicole! I've seen that in movies, just not in real life. Like they will burn letters and just like everything.
I burn it all, everything. Sweatshirts, I'll burn like nice sweatshirts because it's like the symbolism of it, you know? Like
I love it.
Yeah,
such teacher wording. Yes.
Definitely have done that a few times in my life. And I will say it's like quite liberating, like but yeah, so I mean I'm not gonna keep it and like wear it.
No.
So
yeah,
I guess I could donate it, but I like burning it.
No, I like that idea though. I hope I never get to experience another breakup, but if I do, I know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, back to like our title of like she's all that. You're all that if you want to keep it and rock it and wear it. You're all that if you want to freaking burn it, and you're all that if you recognize that you can't keep it because emotionally it's just not going to be good for you. You're going to just give it back. But
totally, do you? But I'm just saying, if you want to go into the parking lot or have a little bonfire and throw in a few sweatshirts
in your backyard,
yeah, I'm not against it. Like I would highly recommend. Also, you know something else I did that really helps me move on is I write a letter that I'll never like actually send. Allie actually told me that idea. So like I literally write out an entire letter. Like I literally typed one. It was like 7 pages. It got really long. Type an entire letter to them, like saying goodbye, thanking them for what they taught you, telling them like if they ever made you angry, whatever, stuff like that. It's just like a whole letter. And then I just never send it. But it's like nice. Like you get out all your thoughts, have your final last, like, wow, I'm so sad for myself.
Goodbye,
move on.
and then you just move on. I love that because I am a strong believer that there has to be an expiration date. Like I think a lot of the time, and this is what I did 4 years ago when I was experiencing my breakup, like it took me 6 months to like fully get up and go do things. It was horrible. I like wasted 6 months of my life just like crying over this guy who wasn't even thinking of me for 1 second. But I do think we should take time to like cry and just like try to heal and deal with it. But then I feel like there has to be a time where you like, what are you doing for you? You know, like back then I was doing a whole lot of nothing and I was wasting my life, but I need to be proud of myself and go do the damn thing and do it for myself and stuff. But yeah, I love that. I'd never even thought about writing a letter or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful. And you know, something too, like how you said that you like sat around for 6 months and were just like really sad and everything. I have been realizing over and over again that I have this process when I go through breakups, and it's like a 5-6 step process that I go through. Like,
what is this process, Nicole?
Let me fill you in on this process. Number one, the first process is like, I'm so sad. This is terrible. I miss him so much. Second step is like starting to be like, you know what? No, I'm a boss. I'm amazing. I'm an independent woman. And I start to get all like hyped up again. And then my third step, and during the second step, I start to go to the gym more and just feel like more myself, really do more me again. Yeah. My third step is I start to think about all the things I hated about them. And then I'm like, you know what? F them. I hated this. He could have brought me flowers this time. He had terrible taste in wine. Like, whatever. Like, I'm like nitpicking everything about them. That's the third step. The fourth step, maybe this is only a 4-step plan. Oh, no. Okay. The fourth step, is literally like, let's say his name is Bob. I'm like, Bob who? Over it. Done. It's done so. Yeah, forget about him. And then my fifth step is I'm killing it. I'm back to normal. And the fifth step takes a while to get to. But I will say, once I'm like at the fifth step, I'm getting to the point where like I don't care about anything he posts anymore.
You totally
I don't
forget.
Yeah, and I will say the first step too, like once I am done with someone, I'm done. Like I cut it off. I never speak to them again. Like everybody I've ever dated and we've broken up, I've literally been like very distinctively like, do not ever talk to me again. And everyone I've ever dated, except one guy, I've never spoken to again in my life since the day we broken up. Never again.
Same. I think that even just like talk, you just need to stop talking, because the moment you start talking, the feelings start to come back, and it's like this thing where you get back together, and then the relationship obviously broke up for a reason, you know, and then you get like back together, then you break up, and it's just like, I hate it. Like that's my number one rule. I will not date someone who is talking with their ex still, or if they've recently just broken up, because I'm sorry, but there's a huge chance that you guys are going to get back together and I'm going to be the one getting hurt. And no, thank you.
I agree. I've experienced that firsthand.
It's not happening.
Could not agree more.
It's a little bit about breakups, but have you heard of that song? It's called Almost Maybes by, I think it's like Jordan Davis.
No, but I'm going to
Oh
listen
my gosh. Nicole, you should. I will put it on the pod just so all our listeners can like listen to it. It's a really cute breakup song. It's like, it just talks about how just having like a positive outlook on your almost maybes, like the ones that you were in a relationship with, the ones that you like, you know, had a fling with, or people you talk to. And because of it, it got you where you are, and you can cherish someone that you're like, you know, that's really special to you now. It's really cute. It's like upbeat and fun. And I love. Totally recommend listening to that one. I'll post the odd story.
Yeah, please do. Before we wrap up, I wanted to read like one of the words of affirmation that we got from a listener. So this is from Jacqueline, who actually we went to college with. She said, "Hey girls, I just wanted to reach out and say I enjoyed your most recent podcast a lot. Took me a while to get caught up, but I am now. I missed the poll you took, so I wanted to say that I love the girl talk type of episode. I also want to say that I love the advice you two are giving. I think what you are doing is amazing. Give advice when it comes and continue being true to yourselves. You two are freaking hilarious, and I am so pumped for the future of this podcast. Every time I had a class with you two, you both would always be so funny and talkative in a great way. I am glad teaching is going great. I heard Ruby say that she's teaching in Linden. I am teaching there, kind of. Or no, okay, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't matter. Anyways, you two are fabulous and such a joy to listen to. Continue thriving.
Okay,
So
I
sweet.
just want to say I opened that when I was in Fred Meyer's and I had like my mask on, obviously. I was literally looking for walnuts and I like responded, kept my tears. And in Fred Meyer's, guys, I was like full on crying because I was like, oh my gosh, this is like, people are actually getting inspired. And I don't know, it just made me so happy and just feel so blessed. Every day I feel like I'm constantly just texting Nicole, like, we're just so blessed. We're so blessed by our
It's true.
listeners.
I got an audio message from Ruby and I opened it and my friend was sitting with me and he started laughing because she's like, we are so freaking blessed. I mean, blessed. Nicole, we are blessed. And I was like, girl, you don't have to tell me twice. I know it. Oh, it's so funny. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this week's episode. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at She's All That Pod.
And leave us a rating and review, please. We would love it.
Please, much appreciated.
Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Have a badass week.
Yes. Bye, you guys.
Besos.